Welcome back to Rochester Living with Mark Siwiec and Corey James Moran, brought to you by Elysian Homes by Mark Siwiec and Associates. This is episode 201, right?
201, yes, it is.
I missed 200.
I'm
back, by the way.
I know. I
I'm
was
alive.
so disappointed. And we had the confetti cannon ready. We had the champagne chilled.
Yeah.
Everything.
I heard there was a cake. I missed cake.
Yeah, there was cake. Yeah, Alex and I ate the cake. How are you doing?
I know what it feels like to be a leper. So there's that. My wife keeps telling me, don't tell people you've had hand, foot, and mouth.
You're doing it. You're okay.
I don't care. I had a 20-year radio career. Do you know the amount of embarrassing things I admitted live on the radio over that course of that time? This is nothing to be ashamed of.
No, not at all. But you're healed now. You're doing well.
We're working on it.
Good.
We're getting there.
Were you nervous?
About what?
The fact that you weren't here, and Alex, you would. I crushed it, right? I just.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there were conversations that we were having about whether or not we even wanted to have you back. I mean, I did that well.
Well, I
maybe
was quarantined in the basement because then my 6-year-old got it too.
Fretting. You were fretting.
So we were 6 days, and then you were just thriving.
Yeah,
Look at that.
Right. Yeah,
Look at that.
Yeah. So.
All right. Our guest for this week, Cyndi Weis, the founder of Breathe Yoga and Juice Bar. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for not judging me for my disgusting condition.
Not at all. Not at all. I know what it's like to be around a lot of little children. Mm-hmm. Yeah, things go around.
Yep, absolutely. Mark, do you want to jump into real estate first?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it.
Did you give numbers last week?
You know what? I didn't actually.
Oh, but you crushed it.
No, actually, no, I did. I did. Actually, I did a really great synopsis. Yeah.
You did?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Do you remember?
No.
I'll use the old numbers that I have.
It was last week, but I could, yeah.
It could have been 10 minutes ago. It would have been.
I'm moving on to the next thing, exactly. So, but you got numbers for us today, right?
Sure. So again, we're headed into the 4th of July, so it's going to be a little bit slower. We did see a downtick from the last time we recorded. It's from 501 down to 489 for Monroe County, which is still, compared to the rest of the year, decent, I would say.
Yeah.
Again, rest of the year.
The rest of the year. Exactly. Yeah, the metric. Yeah.
This is what's interesting. There's actually been quite a few more listings in the 6-county region. So we're sitting at 903 right now.
That is interesting.
Last time we were recorded was 864. I can't remember. I don't know if this has happened before this year, to be honest with you. Usually, Monroe County and the 6-county region in general are kind of in tandem.
Yeah, right.
So this one kind of going opposite, which is, I'm assuming properties are sitting longer in other counties.
I definitely think that is part of it. And Cyndi, just for your, you go back to April of 2017, May of 2017. 2,500 single-family homes on the market for sale in the 6-county region.
Oh wow!
Slight difference.
Yeah. So this is this is really something. So
under contract and pending, that number jumped up from Monroe County. Last time we recorded it was 1,219. We're at 1,299 right now.
Okay.
And then for the 6-county region, same deal there. 1,858 up from 1,747.
Okay.
So a lot of things churning, more out there. But I think the big story though, interest rates.
Interest rates, very, very interesting. I agree.
A positive turn for once.
Yeah.
So, hang on. Knock on that, just because it could change on a dime for sure. But at least this morning when I checked, it was at 6.67%.
Yeah, right.
And the last time that we recorded, with me at least, was 6.93.
Yep.
So that's a significant drop.
Significant, yeah.
15 years at 5.91, by the way. So, there's a lot of reasons why, but I think one of the biggest ones has to be the optimism that the Fed is planning on actually cutting rates in 2025.
Right. Jerome Powell actually said yesterday that if it hadn't been for the imposition of tariffs and then the retraction of, and then I'll give them 2 weeks, et cetera.
Yeah.
Jerome Powell actually said yesterday that he would have probably reduced the federal funds rate at the last meeting of the FOMC. So, there's so much, we realize that everything is so precarious. And you said that just a moment ago. We don't know what is going on with tariffs. But increasingly, it seems as if the president, and of course he'll never admit this, but it seems as if the president realizes that he maybe overplayed his hand and he is pulling back. And I think that the markets are reacting favorably.
Yeah.
I think economists are looking favorably. I think the bond market in particular is looking favorably on the fact that, okay, perhaps this isn't going to be as draconian or as serious as we had thought.
It definitely feels a lot calmer than it was.
Right. Well,
again,
yeah. And here we are,
comparatively.
what, 2 weeks after we lob missiles into
Sure,
Iran. So
sure.
yes, I suppose. Yeah, but that is one thing that I wrote my last blog that was just emailed out to everybody, and then it'll run on the RBJ this Friday. And this whole notion of things being calmer, it really is interesting to see the behavior of buyers in this market. We start lobbing missiles and everybody retreats to the sidelines. Or there's the pronouncement of another imposition of taxes or tariffs against China or some other, and people retreat to. But once we get 5, 6, 7 days of relative calm, people are immediately setting those concerns behind them, and they're engaged and involved in the market once again. So I do think that the buyers are out there. I think they're interested. I think that if we can just find, and hopefully this will come after Q4. Hopefully we'll have a relatively calm second half of the year, and people will jump back into the market. But again, if
A lot of ifs, for sure.
Yeah.
But I think the guarantee right now is that there is opportunity for buyers.
Yeah.
Because if things still trend in the direction that they are, if we do see rate cuts and rates continue to go down, it's obviously going to bring more buyers into the market. That's going to, again, increase the competition, and I think we probably revert back to what we saw earlier in the year.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the key passages of the blog was just that. There are fewer buyers right now, so you're able to, we are selling properties with no offers. We're selling properties with 2 or 3 offers. It's very unusual. It's increasingly unusual to find properties that are selling with 12, 14 offers.
Sure.
So this is an opportunity for buyers to purchase for less money, and hopefully we will see the 30-year mortgage drop down into the mid-6s, perhaps even 6 and a quarter, 6.3.
Who's being optimistic now?
I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying it would be nice if.
Sure.
And so that would be a great opportunity for those purchasing now to then enjoy a second financial benefit, and that financial benefit would be to refinance.
And just real quick on rates being cut this year, expectation now is perhaps twice. Beginning in September would be the.
I'm reading through other sources, perhaps as early as July, perhaps as early as next month. Yeah. So
Well, there we go.
Yeah. So next month. No, actually, we're in July.
This month.
Yeah, it is the 2nd of July. Yeah.
So that would be what, mid-month, right?
Yeah. I don't even know. Yeah, it's sometime in the next couple of weeks. Yeah.
Fantastic. All right. Well, fingers crossed on that.
All right.
One more real estate thing to get to that I know you're going to be interested in, Mark. But Rochester and Syracuse lead rent growth forecasts among the top 100 U.S. metros. Rochester came in second in the country.
In terms of rent?
Of rent increase.
In terms of rent increase. Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, there was only 27 of the top 100 metros have had a positive forecast for an increase.
Wow.
Which is really interesting.
And so what is the forecast?
Rochester is 2.2%, and Syracuse is 2.1%.
Right, well, I was celebrating until 2.2%. That's not a lot.
It's better than negative 2.2%.
That's not even keeping pace with inflation, for God's sake. All right, well.
We're second. Come on. Confetti cannon.
Yay, us. Yeah. All right. Let's move up. God.
Would you like to intro our guest?
Yeah. All right. So I'm often enthusiastic about our guests because they are stalwarts of they're marquee named Rochesterians. I don't think that I've actually yet said of our guests, and I'm gonna try not to get emotional here. But our guest today is Cyndi Weis, who I am getting emotional. Man, Cyndi and her family have changed my life. Why don't you tell? Let me collect myself. You talk a little bit about Cyndi and who she is. How's that?
Okay, so there's a lot to talk about. As we mentioned at the top, get a tissue. Founder of Breathe Yoga and Juice Bar. So that was founded in 2002, right?
Yeah.
And it's so interesting because there's so much to it that
it can be confusing, right? Yeah.
Can you get into that for us a little bit?
Yeah, I can, because
home decor is getting lobbed into this as well.
If you look at it through the lens of business, it looks like complete chaos, right? Like, what business person would say, I want to have a combination of a retail space, a service space, a food establishment, and then I'm going to collect it all under one roof. It really doesn't make sense in that way. But what made sense to me is now as we're approaching the 4th of July, to me it felt like the grand finale of the fireworks. These are the things that I know and love. I was introduced to yoga when I was 12 years old by my mom, so it's been in my life, my whole life. I'd been partners in a retail business for 12 years, and I'm a dietitian. So food is, I want people to understand food is medicine, like food is social, food is meant to be enjoyed, and food is like it takes care of you. So how could I put that all together? And it wasn't how could I put it together as a business. It's like, what would I want? What business do I wish was in Rochester? I wish that I could go to a yoga studio, sign in for class, have a smoothie or a juice waiting for me when I'm done. Maybe I catch out of the corner of my eye a cute pair of yoga pants I'm going to try on later. And I thought, wouldn't that be so awesome? And when I went to my first banker and gave him that idea, he's like, no. No, not so awesome.
Not going to work.
And I'm like, but I could just imagine that if I thought it was a great idea, that others would too. So the second banker did, and he bet on me, and things worked out. So,
and this was before yoga was an established practice or entity here in Rochester. I mean, I often refer to you as like the godmother of, or the matriarch of the local yoga community. Because so I regain my composure now. So I'm going to dive in here. But it's because of you that so many Rochesterians practice yoga, and it's because of you that so many yoga studios have sprung up, and it's because of you that communities have been formed. So but none of this existed when it is that you're sitting down with bankers saying, because then I would imagine that yoga was probably some Far East sort of like hoochie coochie kind of. I mean, Lululemon I don't think existed then, like none of that. And yoga has become very much a mainstream enterprise at this point in time. So hats off to you for having had that foresight and having just introduced so many people and made so many. So here's the segue actually. And so hats off to you for having had the foresight to actually bring that to Rochester, but then impacting and influencing people's lives in the way that you have. And so before I had to turn it over to you, I mean, one of the reasons that I'm so grateful to Cyndi and her family, her daughter Carly gave me my first 3 private lessons. And subsequent to that, and that was probably like 17, 18 years ago, subsequent to that, yoga has been a part of my life that has changed. I mean, I breathe more easily. I deal with stress more easily. If it wasn't, I was saying to Cyndi just before we started rolling, if it wasn't for my yoga practice, it wasn't for Cyndi and her studio and her family, I'd probably be in jail because there was just something about yoga that helps to calm me and center me, and I'm so grateful for that. So
are we. Thank you.
Well, I mean, you're very kind. And, I wish I could say that it was some big brainchild. It wasn't. It was honestly like, what am I going to do as I had a daughter in college, one graduating high school, a husband who traveled 5 days a week. And so what was I going to do? And I just thought, like, I could be happy every day. I treated it, I thought it was going to be like a hobby.
Oh, wow.
It was what I really thought it was going to be. Yeah. And I found this little sort of off the back alley place in Pittsford. You went in a side door of a building on Main Street. And I thought, this is perfect. This will just be kind of like I'll whistle my way to work, flip the sign to open, and here we are for the day. And so I didn't have any great ideas about turning the world upside down with this great idea. I just thought I would be happy and I had something to share. And at the time, there were 2 yoga studios in Rochester.
2
that I was aware of. Both Iyengar studios, one I practiced at for years. And they were the kind of studios where you would sign up for Monday nights at 6 o'clock and you'd run a 6-week session. So if you missed Monday night at 6, too bad for you. You could sign up next session. There was no such thing as drop-in yoga. There was no hot yoga. Wow. So when I opened a hot yoga studio, I still remember we had mostly hot classes with a few classes that were not meant to be hot. So there was a fan in the back of the room so that you could cool off the studio in between. And inevitably, in a hot class, people go like, can you turn the fan on? It's so hot in here. I'm like, no, there's a reason for the heat.
Yeah, right.
It's not meant to be like a sauna. You're not meant to walk in and start sweating. The heat in the room is to keep you from cooling off. You're meant to build your own heat. And then the heat around you keeps you from cooling off. Different than being at the gym where you've got the air conditioner blowing on you while you're on the treadmill, right?
Yep.
So it took a whole education to sort of bring people along with that concept. And it took longer, actually, than I thought. Looking back now, after 22 years, I mean, it took a while. And but here we are.
So, all right, so 2 studios 22 years ago. How many? I've got a number in my mind. How many studios do you think there are? And you were saying, Monday night, 6:30. I mean, now any day of the week, 7 days a week, you can research and you go online and find probably 25, 30 studios?
Oh, easy.
Yeah, easy. And in classes from morning through night, all different. I mean, you've got Iyengar, you've got Kripalu, you've got all sorts of different practices. I mean, heated vinyasa, obviously. So and words and practices that people weren't even aware of 22 years ago. So again, congratulations, you did that.
You. I remember this story too. Opening in a historic village, there are rules to follow, right? So as I opened there in Pittsford, I was, I wanted to make sure that I didn't come in with a splash. So I came in kind of really subtly. I remember the decor was like moss green, beige, like super, super subtle. Yeah. And now if you come in to Breathe, it's very colorful and very vibrant. But I remember, I think I'd been in business about a year. And they asked me to come back to a village meeting. And I thought, I wonder why they're inviting me back. And so I went back for the meeting, and I said to my daughter at the last minute, I'm like, would you come with me? I'm feeling something here. So we walked in, and one side of the meeting was full of people, other business owners, and then there was nobody on the other side. It's kind of like going to a wedding when you're friend of the groom and everybody's the friend of the bride.
Sure.
And I just remember thinking, okay, like, why am I really here? And they asked me how things were going. I said, they're going great. And he said, fantastic. I'll just open up the floor. And people just started standing up saying, you've created a parking problem, you've created a traffic problem, I'm watching people walk around with sweaty mats, and I'm just thinking, a parking problem is when Main Street is full of open spots. You want to have cars in those spots,
exactly.
Right? You want a full parking lot. That means that thriving. So I'm like, I don't think we have a problem here. So it took a little while to turn things around, but now, it's taken time to actually earn trust and respect and camaraderie and companionship with those that, sort of set those rules. But we have. Like, we sort of came in quietly and evolved, I'll say.
Well, you said it took time and trust. Having a deed to the building probably didn't hurt.
I didn't have that at first.
Oh, you didn't have it, but I'm saying, but subsequent to that, you own the building, so
does help.
That does make things a little bit easier. Yeah.
That definitely does help. Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's crazy to think though that I mean, I guess Rochester, one of the negatives is always the resistance to change, right? That we kind of get knocked on for. So I guess you've experienced that firsthand. But obviously, they came around. What was the turning point, do you think?
I think
they knew you weren't going anywhere.
I think that I was not going anywhere, and that we just had so much positive buzz. And, Mark, you're very generous when you say, like, I changed your life, or I did this. I didn't do it. Breathe did it. And what Breathe is like, it's a space where people can have their own experience in a lot of different ways. And I've been really fortunate. I have, like, a file folder just absolutely full of cards and letters and things that people have sent me over the years on how their life has changed because of spending time on their mat. Maybe it's something that an instructor said, or maybe it was just having like kind of a sanctuary space to like get out of the day-to-day and just let it all off so before you go home to your family. It was just a place, a hub, and that's what I still think of it as, is just its own thing. So Breathe has made, I think it's made a lot of people happy and protective of the business in a sense. So, I don't really feel that threatened by anyone not feeling that way anymore. So,
you talk about yoga having changed other people's lives, but maybe you'll bring us back to when you're in your bedroom at the age of 12.
Oh my gosh. I grew up as an overweight kid. I had an older brother and a younger brother, and I just grew up as a tomboy, always struggling with my weight, very unhappy with my body. And the very first exercise I ever did, my mom gave me a book and an album. Okay, some people won't even know what an album is, but a record on a record player. And the book, I still have it in my office. It's this paperback book by Richard Hittleman called Weight Control Through Yoga. And I would go in my room with my pink shag carpet, lock the door so my brothers wouldn't be bothering me. And I would just look at the book and play the album and contort my chubby little body into these shapes. And it was the beginning of me actually making peace with myself and with my body. And so yoga has been a thread, even though through the years I've been athletic and I've tried a lot of different things, but the commonality is I always come back to yoga. It's always been there and it will always be there.
That's and so that was at the age of 12. Then you go on and you talked a little bit about creating Breathe. But and then you've got the juice bar, and then you've got the food, and then you start adding onto that the furniture. So when you even for a while you did a very, very successful franchise. So you're incredibly entrepreneurial, and as time is passing, you're on to your next venture.
Yeah, when I look back, I've been entrepreneurial always. Like, I don't know, Corey might be too young to know. You remember Avon?
Of course.
Do you know Avon? No.
Oh, come on.
Door-to-door
ding dong.
sales.
Oh, yeah.
Ding dong,
Makeup.
Avon calling.
Makeup ring?
I was
yeah,
at 15 years old, the youngest Avon lady.
Come on, really?
Yes, because it was summer vacation. I was, on vacation, and I wanted something to do, and I wanted to make some money. So I lived in a small town in Pennsylvania. In the newspaper, there were classified ads, and there was this 800 number that you could call if you wanted to be an Avon representative. So I called, and this woman shows up at our door, and she's startled when she sees me, and she's like, I'm here to see Cyndi. And I'm like, that's me. And she's like, oh, are you sure? I thought it was maybe your mom. I'm like, no, it's me. So she comes in, and I'm not old enough for working papers at the time, but my mom, who wasn't expecting this woman either, eventually signs off on this, and I get my first territory. So I walk around at 15 years old. I don't even wear lipstick and makeup at the time, but I'm walking around with a suitcase full of Avon, door to door. My mom would drive me to the territory, drop me off, and then she'd watch me walk down the street a few houses, and she'd move the car, and she'd wait for me. And I ended up becoming a top salesperson in the country. By the time I was 17.
In the country?
Yes.
Unbelievable.
I won local, regional, and national awards, and I was very rarely able to even go pick up my emerald pin or something because I was always in school, when they were having these award ceremonies. But yeah, looking back, I've always been entrepreneurial.
Where does that come from, do you think?
My dad was entrepreneurial, and I don't know, I just come from small town, hardworking people, and I think that what I've realized, I don't think I've given myself credit for being a businesswoman up until fairly recently, because I would always say, I have no business being in business. I'm a dietitian, I have a mental health counseling degree, I'm a yogi, I'm a meditator, but I don't read business books, and I have never taken a business class. But what I realized is by not knowing how everyone else does it, I was really able to sort of follow my own instincts. And it all comes down to sharing. Like when you're out selling real estate, it's a lot easier to share the houses that you love, right?
Yeah.
You can't quit talking about it. You
Sure.
want everyone to see it. And that's how I feel about, wherever my lifestyle practices are taking me. So nutrition, yoga for sure. And then in somewhere midway, it turned into meditation, being like a total, just lifeline for me. And so I want to share that. And
Actually, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, Corey, but I've used for the past 12, 13, 14 years an executive coach who is he's another guy who's changed my life.
Yep.
He's just... he's transformed this business, from 38 million a year to 92 million last year. Jim Mahan is one of your meditation coaches.
Oh, he's one of our meditation teachers for sure. He's in yoga every day. He's on the mat every day. He's awesome.
Awesome. He is just, he, like you, he just marries business and his meditation practice, his yoga practice in a way that's really, really compelling. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I love, I've just got to so Corey, you're probably not aware, but Cyndi, this woman who didn't think of herself until recently as being a businesswoman, weren't you small business person of the year, 4 years ago or something?
I was. I think it was 2016 or 2017. And that was
was it that long ago?
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Okay, wow.
But it was, that came as a complete surprise. Were you at that?
Yes, and I was going to... So let me
Is this
tee
story
it,
time?
Yeah,
It is story time.
I'm going to tee it up. So, all right. So the room, we're all downtown. We're at the convention center, or someplace, and there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of Rochesterians there. A lot of business people, and it's announced that Cyndi is the Small Business Person of the Year. I think I got the title right. And so she goes up there, and she is, saying thank you for this and the other thing, and accepting the award, and then.
Yeah, and then, first of all, they don't tell you in advance if you win.
Right.
So I had no idea. I'm sitting at the head table and thinking, they had two different categories for businesses with less than 50 employees and those with more than 50. So I had more than 50. So the less than 50, they called up the winner. He walked up. He did this really smart acceptance speech, thanked all the right people. And I'm sitting there thinking, that's really good. That's admirable. That's exactly what you should do, right? And then when they came to my category and they called my name, I was in total shock. And it really wasn't far from my seat to the podium. But as I'm walking up, I'm thinking, do what he did. But there was a part of me saying, like, no, don't do that. Like, don't miss this opportunity. So I thanked the people, and then I asked everybody to put both feet on the floor, push themselves away from their table, close their eyes. Let's take a deep breath in, pause, take a deep breath out. Pause. We did like maybe 6 breaths. And the whole time I'm opening one eye. I'm like, oh my gosh, they've all got their eyes closed. I think there were like 800 people. It was big.
It was enormous.
Yeah, it was big. And when it was over and I said, okay, open your eyes, it was like you could have heard a pin drop. The energy shift was palpable in the room. It was amazing.
It was insane.
Yeah. And that really...
What a risk.
I know, yeah, but you know what? It wasn't like, again, like so many things, it wasn't some like brainchild. It was really like this voice just saying like, you can't miss this opportunity because people will feel it. And if a couple of breaths make you feel different, then you will not think that meditation is some granola crunching weird thing that other people do. You might realize that, when you're nervous at work or your kid is getting ready to give a book report and you want to give them some good advice, like take a couple of breaths. So yeah, I didn't want to miss that opportunity, so I did it.
Imagine 800 people, a lot of them in suits.
Most of them in suits.
Exactly, the majority in suits. And it was a full 2 minutes. And it was just so memorable. Even the wait staff, you can normally hear like the clanking of silverware or plates or glasses as people are dead silence. Oh,
that's powerful.
Yeah.
What's so funny is, I don't know, just fortunately, our table, so I brought some of my staff with me, and somebody caught it on video. It's on YouTube.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, the whole speech is on YouTube.
Oh, I had no idea. Oh, that's awesome. Oh,
Yeah.
So we'll have to pull that up.
Yeah.
Actually, Alex, would you find that link on YouTube, and maybe you can post that for so people can. That would be great. That would be fantastic.
You remember it well, though. I'm so happy you were there.
Oh, I was there because of you.
Yeah.
I was there again. I was there because of you. So yeah, I remember it very, very well. So talk to me. All right. So I'm 60 years old right now, and thank God I feel really great about the fact that I've been working out for a long time, and just making the changes that I've needed to make. Along the way, and I've lost the weight, and I'm calmer, and my blood pressure is down, and I'm sleeping better, and digesting food, all that. But it really is a process. So can you talk a little bit about what's going on in your life right now in terms of some of the process and how you're bringing this to other people?
Yeah, I think that when I look back on all of it, it's all about wanting to share something that I'm passionate about, right? So you can relate to that. And what I'm really passionate about is, aging gets a bad rap. There's no one 40 years old sitting around wishing they were 65, correct? No one's wishing for
nobody,
that.
No.
But the thing about it is that, it's actually great. My birthday's this week. I'm turning 66. And I honestly feel amazing. And what I love is the ability to really recognize that the time spent behind me, all the trial and error, all the experience, all the hard things, raising families, building careers, surviving small business.
The angst, the uncertainties, all of that.
Like right now, none of that even matters, but it brought me here.
Yeah.
And so whenever I just love like talking to other people that are in what I call the fourth quarter, like the fourth quarter of life, right? The fourth quarter of a game is typically the most high stakes, most exciting part of a game. So that is exactly how I'm approaching this. And, I'll talk with my husband of 44 years. We've been married all that time. And I'll say, okay, like we gotta keep the pipeline filled, right? With the things that are of priority. Let's get all of our active stuff. Like let's do our bike trips. Let's do all the things, because there's time to do other things later. But let's just, and let's just keep moving. And so I just love having the time and the experience of being able to not sweat the small stuff.
Right.
All the stuff I used to sweat, what people said, what would make me nervous, what, thinking like, how do I please everyone? You can't. And it's not my job to do that anyway.
It does. If you're doing it right, all that just melts away.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even, it doesn't enter your life in any way whatsoever. You don't even think about it. It isn't there. It's not present.
Yeah.
So I love it. Corey, how old are you now?
42.
Okay. So
It's
you
on
got
Saturday.
You got to. Yeah, that's it, because he just
Your birthday
celebrated
Saturday?
this
It was
past
last
Saturday.
Yeah,
Happy
yeah.
birthday.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Appreciate that.
So yeah, you will experience this, but it really is, and like you, I'm so grateful for this fourth quarter. I mean, I don't think I've ever been in better shape. I feel really great. I drink a glass of wine once every 10 days. If I'm getting plenty of, I just love, and I've got all sorts of energy to grow the business, to spend time with Duffy, traveling and all that stuff that you really want to be able to do. If you've done it right the first three quarters by taking care of yourself, because God forbid, you're overweight, you've got heart disease, diabetes, and suddenly you can't move around or be active or lift your grandchildren and twirl them in the air. I mean, that's sad.
That's the thing. And you really, I'm sorry, Corey, go ahead.
I was going to say it's mentality too. Like you've got a great mentality about it because it's very easy to see it as a negative and dread it and all that anxiety and anxiousness that comes with it, or be open to it and positive. I mean, you could say that pretty much about anything. You could say that for when you wake up, today's going to be a good day. Usually it's going to be a pretty good day. If you say today's going to be terrible, it's probably going to be pretty terrible.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, mindset is everything. And the great thing about mindset is you can change it in a second.
Yep.
You just have to be aware of it. And, many people, that's one of, I just really want to change sort of the narrative around aging for those people who are thinking, oh, poor me, I'm old, I can't do this, I can't do that. It's like, you got to shift that into, look at all of the things that have led me to this place. Now, what do I want to do? I can do anything.
Yeah.
Like, what do I want to do now? Because so many of the hard things, raising the kids and all the things, that's a lot. And now you've got the time and space to do what you want. So I've been keynote speaking on aging optimally. And keynote speaking was something that was sort of always on my radar as something that I would want to do. I've never been called to write a book. That doesn't feel like something I want to do. But sharing from the perspective of being able to share the tools. Like you said, what you do in those first three quarters actually matters. And so whether someone is listening to me and that person's in the fourth quarter of their life, or they're in their 30s or 40s, that's such a great time to start laying the groundwork for being able to age optimally.
Yeah. I continually think that the day that you turn 20, the day that you turn 30, the day that you turn, somebody should be handing you a manual. Here's what it is to expect, and here's what it is that you should be doing over the course of the next 10 years. I think that's a great series. So if you ever want to write a book,
We do that for little kids. Like we go to the pediatrician every year for their checkup. They say they should be doing this, and
there
this,
you go.
eating this, doing whatever. So
We-
why does that stop?
I don't know, but we should continue the series. Seriously, honestly, it's so helpful. But you've mentioned your family and the kids several times. We've had I don't know how many entrepreneurs.
85% family business.
Their
Probably
businesses continue on through their children. So both Carly and Abby play a role in the business, and I think I see Carly more often than I do see Abby. Is that accurate? Is she?
They're both there all the time. A little less now that they're juggling kids because I've collectively got 5 grandchildren. So between the two girls, they've got now we've got 5 under the age of 7 total. So they are trying to work with, being moms.
Challenge.
It is challenging, but they're doing a great job. So if you don't see them, Abby's role is she's our esthetician, so she's in the back doing facials. She does that. And then she's the buyer for anything you put your hands on in Breathe or Breathe at Home. Abby purchased it. We have one buyer for both of those stores, which is a pretty big job,
Yeah.
but she's an excellent buyer. Carly's our yoga director. We have 2 studios in Pittsford, a hot studio and a studio that's just got a nice warm floor, where we do yin and foundations and restorative and meditation. And then we've got the hot studio that Mark loves so much. So Carly's director of 42 teachers. So our
42.
teaching staff,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
And then
It's a big jump from just Mondays at 6:30.
Yeah, we have a lot of classes. And Carly's also an acupuncturist, and her practice is at Breathe. So we have a spa that's kind of like a little quiet, best-kept secret.
Again, it's just, it's become so large that I wasn't even aware of all that just because I take, advantage of the yoga and I take advantage of the food. So maybe you can answer this, maybe you can't, maybe you don't want to, maybe you don't. What's the future for them with Breathe?
Oh, that is such a good question, Mark, because that is the question that I'm bringing up to them sort of on a regular basis. And where we are at this point with that question is we're going to revisit the question
Okay, yeah.
in a couple of years. Yeah. They are incredibly impressive young women, and they hold down their area of the business solidly. They're exceptional people. I have a fantastic staff. We've got like 72 employees in total, and some real great leaders, managers within that. So I think it's really just sort of figuring out where everyone fits. And for me, this year's been a really pivotal year. I spent the winter in warm weather this year and sort of worked remotely. And we also have a live online yoga studio as well. So I was able to teach online throughout that. And the one role that I know that so far I don't have anyone that can fill is that entrepreneurial role. The role of like, oh my gosh, what we have to do next? You guys, listen, we have to do this. This is gonna be great. Like, I don't have that person. That person is me. And fortunately, I have no interest in, remember when retiring was something you were supposed to do at 65?
At 65,
and play shuffleboard or do something?
Yep. And if you worked a day beyond 65, you were looked at as if there was something wrong with you.
Right. Yeah, like you didn't make it or something.
Exactly. It's so crazy.
Yeah. So like my role is a role that I can't imagine not doing because it's sort of just in my being. I would be doing it even if it wasn't my job. I just love brainstorming. I love seeing something that hasn't yet been done and saying like, here's how we would do this.
Yeah.
And then I leave the details to other people to actually like do the day-to-day of it quite often. I just love big picture, like where are we going?
So that's perhaps in your next role.
Yes.
You spend more time down in Florida, spend more time in warm weather. Don't do the online teaching, and you've got obviously a great coach that if you haven't already started speaking to Jim about this kind of stuff. Just brilliant. The guy is just brilliant. So yeah. But like you, I'm very much. I'm already talking to Ed, our COO, about all my plans for Q4. Come November 5th, 10th. Things slow down for 2 months. That's just a great opportunity not only to celebrate the holidays, but I've got 4 very, very distinct projects that I want to accomplish during that in order to launch Elysian into the year 2026 in the way that I'm hoping will be successful. So.
Yeah, it's so great to be forward thinking. And you know what? I don't know about you, but for me, where I am most successful, like having what I call popcorn. Popcorn is when I usually have it like on a vacation when I'm really away from everybody, and I feel like it's just like boom, 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 all these ideas, and like I've got to grab these as they're coming up. But I do it best when I'm away from the day-to-day and just sort of in that sort of chill space, and then it's like I don't have to try to do it. It just
You get a second to
happens.
think, yeah.
It's just like, it's like, oh, that's a good idea. Oh, what if we did that? I love that. It feels so energizing.
And that's so interesting. So I listen to a lot of podcasts, a podcast constantly. And I read a lot of business books. And just listened to a podcast the other day. they talk about just taking in all this information and then being able to go and sit and do nothing with it other than allow it to percolate. It is one of the words, which is very similar to, obviously a popcorn. And it's something that I haven't been able to do, and I often can't. But my best popcorn moments were going to Central America. I would do it every year, and I would go for a 5-day yoga retreat in the middle of the jungle. We've actually done Tulum together, you and I.
Yeah.
But it was just nobody's around, the phone's not ringing, and I remember one year I came back and I thought my staff they were so thrilled.
Remember that year?
They were thrilled that I was not to be seen, not to be found. I came back.
35 ideas.
I literally gave them, I swear to God, 26 pages. 26 pages of ideas. Like, here we go.
It's great. It's so great.
It is really great. So, Corey, what you got for us, bud?
For someone who has never done yoga before, what do you have to say to them?
I mean, first of all, yoga, when you say the word in Western culture, everyone thinks about a yoga mat and stretching. But yoga is much broader than that. Like, my favorite definition of yoga is the quality of mind behind anything and everything that you do.
That's quite a definition.
Yeah. So your yoga could be meditation. It could be just taking a little time outside, going for a walk in the woods. It could be getting on your mat and doing, like, moving through some gentle stretches. It could be sweating it out in a power vinyasa class. Yoga can be so many different things. So I think that, if you have ever tried yoga and you thought, no, it's not for me, just keep trying, because it's very, very broad and wide. And so I know my yoga's changed so much. Like, I find myself looking for, something maybe a little, not gentler, but like where I have time to spend in my poses as opposed to like flowing through them the way that I used to. So it's a lifelong practice, and you just have to, in that moment in time, see what fits in that broader scope of yoga.
It's kind of, there's beauty to that too, right?
Totally, because you can't do it wrong.
Sure.
And it follows you throughout your entire life. The yoga I was doing at 12 years old is very different
than the
when,
record.
Right.
Yeah,
totally different.
Because it's kind of hard to find a phonograph these days.
Then there was in my heyday, the flow. I just wanted it super physical, super hot. Like, I just thrived on it. And now, I'd say it's a little bit more. It's still a flow, but it's probably a little bit, I don't want to say gentler, because it's not necessarily, but it's slower, so I can luxuriate in it a little bit more.
Sure.
Yeah.
So it's all good, and it just sort of follows you through different stages in your life.
There's a corollary for me, which is there's no one yoga. So, I really respect the question, because great question, but there's no one yoga. I mean, my yoga is not Cindy's, and everybody has to find, you said this, everybody has to find their own yoga. And some people want to go into a studio and do a few downward dogs and then lie on their mat. That's awesome. That's fantastic. But I do think that, and there's also a real reluctance on the part, a worry, a concern, a fear of people walking into that yoga studio for the first time. And I always say to people, all these many years, I've never once heard anybody judge another yogi in the studio, because we've all been there. We've all fallen over. We've all knocked over our water bottle. We've all faced in the wrong direction. So, and everybody's just very, very, very giving, and very. There's a word that I love in Sanskrit. It's kula, and kula is your community. It's sort of the community that you create around you that I often find in the yoga studio. I don't know Elaine's last name, the woman who's next to me. I don't know Rich's last name. I don't know Lucy's last name, but they're all part of my kula, and we're all there to support each other and get through and enjoy. It's really beautiful.
Oh, the friendships, the community that's been formed, and it's so, you have so many people moving into the area from out of town. I mean, you take them to the landmarks, you take them to Wegmans, bring them to their yoga studio.
Yep, we do.
The place where you can actually start to meet people and create community. It's so important.
Yeah, completely agree. Absolutely.
Well, phenomenal. Thank you so much for sharing and doing everything that you've done.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Do you want to get to a little bit of Rochester news?
Yeah, you got some Rochester news for us, bud?
Yeah. Party in the Park.
Tell me all about it.
Summer concert series returns on the 28th, and the lineup was announced just recently. It comes back on the 10th, rather. So the Fleetwood Mac tribute band Seven Wonders. Have you seen them, Mark?
No, I hear they're great.
They're phenomenal. Performed at my wife works for Our Lady Mercy, and actually the lead singer works there as well. So they put on a concert, I guess, I don't know, last month. Just sounds like Stevie Nicks. Like,
Oh my gosh.
Like to a T. It's unbelievable.
Do you know that I saw Fleetwood Mac perform in what was Rich Stadium at the time back in 1978?
Really?
Yep.
Phenomenal.
Well, sorry, Mom, but here it goes.
Uh-oh.
So my mother decides that she wants to take my brother Greg, my brother Dave, and I to see Fleetwood Mac. So 4 of us, we go to the concert. And Pablo Cruz comes on. And all of a sudden my mom goes, what's that? What's that smell? What is that smell? Oh my God, there are people smoking marijuana in here. Oh my God, there are people top of her lungs. She's concerned about the fact that, shocking, Pablo Cruz is on. It's 1978. Fleetwood Mac is about to come on, and there's somebody smoking. Like there's
Also, the sun came up that day. The sky was blue.
Exactly. So finally, like there were like 3, 4, 5, 6 acts that precede Fleetwood Mac. Fleetwood Mac comes on.
It's a big lineup.
I see. Yeah, like they were like well, you were in radio,
like a
so like
festival.
somebody who they're hoping. Yeah. I see this like figure from like a quarter of my, because like we're over here, like the stage is over there. I see this figure, and I'm seeing like this action which evokes somebody spinning with veils. I'm like, that's got to be Stevie Nicks. And at that moment, my mother grabs my hand and we're out of there.
No.
It was a great concert, Mom.
Oh my gosh.
Thanks so much. Well, you can go to Party in the Park.
I can't. I can really. What is this?
Give your second chance. I'm not sure when what the lineup exactly is.
All right, but if they're playing, my mom's coming into town. So if they're playing, we're gonna go and see. We're gonna go and see this band.
Really phenomenal.
What else you got
for
for us, bud?
Let's see. Taylor Swift, the Cruel Summer Band as well.
Oh, okay. There we go.
Also amazing. Nails it. Sublime, Badfish, the Sublime tribute band is one of them as well. So it's always fun. It's a good time. Again,
that's good.
I think similar to Jazz Fest, obviously on a smaller scale since it's a once a week kind of thing. But it brings people downtown.
That's great. That's awesome.
we could
That's
use some of
really
that.
great. Yeah. This is also a time when we talk about things that we're like watching, listening to, that we're reading. Anything come to mind that that you're enjoying right now?
Oh, you share first. Give me a minute to think about that.
I've had a lot of time.
Oh, yeah, all
recently.
right. Bring it on. What do you got for us?
So there's a new series on Netflix called Trainwreck, and it's just a series of different different documentaries.
Yeah.
So the first one I watched was the 3-episode series on Woodstock '99.
Okay.
Talk about it. Marijuana
show.
smoke was not the worst thing that happened, obviously. So there was that one, which was really, really interesting. The Poop Cruise. Remember that from a few years back?
Yeah.
More disgusting than you actually thought.
Wow.
Just the details.
The name alone, like it got me hooked.
Horrifying.
Yeah.
Absolutely horrifying. I will never look at a red bag the same way ever again. But
no.
watch it, you'll see. And then the last one.
Yet another reason is if I needed any more convincing not to go on a cruise.
And then the last one was the former mayor of Toronto, Rob Ford, and that whole
I did see that
craziness. Yeah. So that's been really interesting. So I've been watching a bunch of those.
Are you watching the current season of The Bear?
Actually, I've not started it yet, but we watched the first because this is third, fourth.
I think it's 4th.
I think it's 4th. Yeah.
Yeah, we were really into season 1, season 2. I don't know if I watched 3 or not, but it's a good
with
show.
those short episodes, I almost feel like it's like you have to kind of parcel it out. Otherwise, it goes way too fast. So, yeah, I've been watching that, staying up on that. How about you?
We just started Mobland.
Oh.
With Pierce Brosnan. It's I think it's really good. It's
My father-in-law lives by that. He loves that show.
well, and what about your mother-in-law? I mean,
yeah, crime,
dear God, like
murder,
crime, like
check.
mob bosses, like she loves all that. So it's an amalgam from. Are they watching it actually?
I know he is. I would talk to her about it specifically.
It's an amalgam in my mind of sort of like classic gangster films. So you've got like Scarface and you've got The Godfather, etc. And there are scenes like where you're like, oh yeah, that was clearly lifted from, that's a reference to this movie and that scene. But also, it marries some of the motifs, if you will, from Succession. So several children all involved in the dad's business, beautiful cars, beautiful clothing, beautiful houses, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. Yeah.
Nice.
Along those same lines, have you watched Tulsa King
I don't even
with
know that
Sylvester Stallone?
No.
Oh, I haven't watched
Yeah.
that one yet. No,
Yeah.
because that's Paramount. I think.
It is Paramount Plus.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good. Sounds very similar to Mobland. I think
Okay, oh, wow,
Mobland's next
okay.
up for me. Yeah.
All right. But now the sun has come out. I mean, hopefully I can just, stop huddling indoors with the fireplace on and actually spend some time outside. So,
There you go.
yeah, we'll see.
Fantastic.
Anyway, Cyndi, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for the past 17 or 18 years. My love to you and to the family, Larry, Abby, Carly, also important to me. You have changed my life, and I'm so grateful. So, here's to the next 17, 18.
Perfect. Let's
Awesome,
keep it going.
Awesome. Thanks so
All
much.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We'll talk to you again next week.